second segment of today's conference, coming up with the topic of tech transformation in achieving end-to-end visibility and seamless supply chain. I would like to call upon stage Mr. Kapil Verma, AVP Supply Chain, India at Rebels Food. Mr. Kapil.
Hello, am I audible? Yeah, so starting on a funny note, I'm the same person whom you see in the photo, but the photo is 10 years old. So, so I'm not a different person who is over there. So thanks everyone, good afternoon. So I'll be speaking a bit about tech transformation in achieving end-to-end supply chain visibility. And considering the diverse group members that are present over here, I've tried to make it more macro rather than going into micro. And that's the way I'll take it through, and I'll appreciate more number of questions to come in, and then we can discuss about it. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Or you can give me the slide changer. Okay, so tried to keep it pretty simple. So when I thought how to look at supply chain automation, or tech transformation, which is a huge, huge topic. So it can be basically brought down into three areas. First, establish a digital record. So from physical to digital, you would have RFIDs, you would have option to track and trace, you would have option of GPS, you would have option of computer vision, you would have option of multiple number of sensors, etc. But what do you exactly want to capture? There are two basic things which you need to look at when you're going for tech transformation. The first thing is that we only have 24 hours in a day with limited resources. And number two, we have limited budget. So you cannot get into everything getting into digital. So first of all, find out what you really want to digitalize. What are the things that you want to go to digital? The second step comes is analyze and visualize. How do you want to look at that thing? For example, I'm going very basic right now, and we'll go into the details later on. That if you want to look at the GPS, what do you exactly want to look into? Do you want to look at the truck moving in the GPS? Do you want to look at the transit time? Do you want to look at the transit time variability? Do you want to look at the distance? Do you want to look at the fuel consumption? What is the thing that you want to look at? And would you like to look at weekly level, monthly level, yearly level? What is the level at which you want to look at? So those are the basic things that you need to decide. After going for establishing a digital record, you have to analyze and visualize. Then comes the third and the main points, which is about generate movement, apply algorithms. So when you're going into analyzing and visualizing, you can go for heat maps, you can go for lot number of dashboards, etc. But what action to take basis that comes into generate movement. So let me make it simple. When we started with fill rates. Okay, so fill rate is what? I'm just giving an example, very basic example, and then we'll go into the details. Fill rate is what? Stock is not available at the DC. We looked at the heat map, we looked at the fill rates, etc. Then we said, okay, fill rate is not there, you are just going to review, but the damage has already happened. So when you go to generate movement, you have to move from output metrics to input metrics. What has led to that fill rate loss? Untimely availability of stock. So why not start monitoring the days of cover? Okay, that is second level. Why not only monitor days of cover? Why not monitor why that days of cover is less? There are three reasons. The first reason is supplier issue. The second reason is transit time variability. The third reason is high sale. So why not look into the metrics of these three metrics and give it to right people? Why even look at fill rate or even days of cover? So right now, our dashboarding or our intelligence starts with looking at these three input metrics. I talk about transit time variability, I talk about supplier fill rate, I talk about high sale. That's all. Remaining things will automatically be fixed. And this is a step-by-step process. Nothing will come at a time. So before you move into any automation, unless it has been done in your industry, usually things are not plug and play. Usually things have to be documented. Usually things have to be thought about. What do you want to see? How do you want to see? How will you measure things? What are the false alarms that are coming in? Once you set it up, then you go into the execution. And that's why the part which Jay mentioned initially, which was about the solution design, is very, 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 very important, guys. That's what I would say. Now, apart from that, there's lot number of telematic opportunities that have come in. We have GPS, asset tracking is there. We have option of route route optimization. There are various players in that. We have option of fuel efficiency improvement right now, which can be through a lot of areas. I was amazed by the number of opportunities that people say when you look at end-to-end visibility. In fuel efficiency, sometimes people say that the number of times the truck stopped, so the route may be long, but in that route, the number of tolls are less. In the other route, the number of tolls are high. So the stoppage time is high. That is leading to higher fuel usage. So these are the kind of insight that may come in. So lot number of things, apart from that fuel theft, there are a lot of number of opportunities in fuel efficiency improvement. If you want to know about it, we can anyways connect offline and I can tell you about it. Vehicle accident prevention. There are cameras on dash which tell about the driver efficacy. There are other ways wherein driver behavior is seen. Even if an accident happens, it is able to find the root cause, why that has happened. And again, not everybody needs to do it. But when I looked at a company which is a pharma industry, or a company which is in chemical, working on chemicals, for them it is extremely important. And if you look at that chemical supplies on hilly road, it becomes far more important. So ultimately you have 24 hours in a day, limited resource, limited value. So where you want to focus is very, very important. There's theft prevention, for which there are digital locks that are available in the industry, which open by OTP. Temperature monitoring is very, very important in terms of frozen supply chain nowadays. Health is of utmost important. I think going forward, it will be health, not any restaurant that you'll eat from. And that's why temperature monitoring relating to the FSSAI standards is very, very important. Okay, so going back, why do we need supply chain automation is more important than what do we need in supply chain automation? So instead of looking at, you want forecasting automation, you want supply planning automation, you want EPOD, you want insightful dashboard, you want decision-making tools, you want network design, you want RPA, anything can be done. Instead of that, the first question is, why do you want to do that? The point is whether you want lower stock out, whether you want lower logistics cost, lower inventory value, lower manpower hours, or lower COPQ. That is the first question which you need to ask before going into any of these things. And if that makes sense, this will automatically make sense. And that is the target which you have to achieve. So automation is a tool to get the result which is coming on the right side. And that's how you need to look at it. Now, there are some pitfalls before we go into the early case studies. The pitfalls are, I'll just give you an example. When we started automating a lot of things, we did a supply planning automation. And then we found out that there is a constraint which we did not map. That the laborers were not ready to put more than X number of SKUs in a truck. So everything was optimized, but then we found that laborers are saying, in one day, we will at most pick up only 10 SKUs. Now, the programming is giving us 15 SKUs. What to do in that case of time? You have to go back and reiterate. So pan-India or all-time implementation at a time may not be a right thing at that point of time. Similarly, there are so many small nuances in different industries which you would be knowing, which is very difficult to identify right at the time of the implementation. For example, if I say for Rebel Foods, one supplier gives me a rice bag of 30 kgs, another supplier gives me a rice bag of 25 kgs. Okay, both are having same codes. My entire forecasting goes for a toss only because of these two child code against one parent code. And these are the nuances that the person will understand at detail level. So unless you understand the things at detail level, it will be very difficult to implement it. So documenting your things, understanding what to execute, and then going for end-to-end supply chain automation, there are a lot of improvements that can be done, and there are a lot of things that is being done. Just to give you one more example, which Jay gave, which is about center of gravity. We did implement center of gravity. Trust me, the kind of issue which we faced was like, it was so humorous. We found out that our DC went from, had to be removed from one DC to another DC. There was fight between two zonal sales managers that now it is going under your DC, what will happen to my targets? Now you have to solve that level of things when you go into actual implementation. So you have to have more communication, actual results, how will it happen, and then things do fall in place. I have mostly felt that there are most of the tools do help in, but it's all about execution and documentation. Coming to some of the use cases, which I'll go through quickly and then take your questions. So once we moved on, we were having push model, first of all, at CEAT when I was working. And in push model, it was more about selling what we have produced, forecasting, and then pushing stocks as per forecast. At some point of time, we realized that forecasting cannot be accurate at granular level, whatever you do, unless you have lot amount of data. And if you have customer level sales, it's still better. If you have dealer or distributor level sales, it's still difficult because there's a sales skew there. So what we did is we did a trade-off. We said till DC level, we will go with forecast. After DC, we will go with standard norms. So we'll go with pull. That's simple, right? But there are, I would say, more than 150 improvements which we did after that, which is still that level that, okay, in Sunday dispatches will not happen. If the stock is only 100 and your norms are saying 150, how will it be distributed to different people? There were some intelligent people who understood that there is a fair allocation logic, and instead of 100 demand, they had put 10 lakhs demand. So every stock went to that location only. Then we had to, again, re-improvise it and put a cap on that, or we had to put it basis sales ratio. So there are lots, small number of improvement that will keep on happening. So you have to keep, most of the things you have to keep soft coded, some things hard coded so that you can change over time. And that is the architecture which you make, which becomes a part of solution design. And that's what helps you to grow. We have surely reduced our inventory by around 4 to 5 days for sure through this model. And our slow moving inventory also improved through this. We have our distributors also on pull model right now, and CFA is also on pull model right now. We're working on forecasting improvement. And that was the part at CEAT. Coming to some of the improvements like norm calculation automations. Now, we did a number of norm calculations. That was happening manually. We were doing it through, Excel, etc., or query, etc., or SQL, etc. Then we thought, let's do an automation. So instead of doing an automation, I'll make it very simple. Instead of doing an automation and saying ki matlab, whatever you are doing directly will come on to that, we started identifying, we did a brainstorming, and we found out what are the issues that you are facing. Why did the norms go wrong? Then the pointers came in like, if one CFA gets closed and another CFA gets opened, then the sale of one CFA needs to be attached to another CFA. If one SKU is discontinued, another SKU is continued. You have to do it that way. If there's a seasonality that needs to come in. So all those factors we made variable. We made it variable till that level that one SKU can be moved from one material group to another material group. And we uploaded those masters. And then the norm automation sustained for a long amount of time. Because then the planner had flexibility. This is the difference between AI versus HI. AI will automatically not solve all the problems. You have to understand to what level you want to use AI and wherein you want to bring in your HI in place. That's the key. So you need to play. The hardware will be given by, or the tool will be given by someone. You need to understand what are the areas that you want to play on and you want to work on. Once you understand that, things work out. There are a lot number of improvements which we have done on this ERP for tire management we tried. And we identified a lot number of issues. And we found out in machine learning, what happens is the more number of data you have, the more amount of data you capture, the better your model is. And there are so small kind of issues. For example, we were trying to check defects in tires. And we found out that black on black is very difficult. When I was checking it in food, it was pretty easy because food issues you can easily capture from the camera. But tire issues you cannot capture from the camera. So how do you do it? Example, if you have a garlic bread, you can see the top part of it. But if the bottom part is burnt, how will you check it? So, okay, now we will tell the router only check the bottom part, front part will be checked by the camera. So these are the kind of improvement that you will need to do with pilots. But computer vision has to go a long way, and there is surely big improvement that can come from computer vision. I can say that because lot number of quality things, lot number of automations have been done with that. But there will be a lot of false alarms. Be ready for that. It's not a plug and play. It will not happen in 1 month. If anyone does that, please tell me. I'll also try to implement in that. But I don't think there will be a lot number of false alarms which will come in, lot number of errors that will come in, but it will keep on improving over time. That much I can say for sure. So closing it with some key pointers that I noted. First is start any automation with customer backwards. So first, listen to the pain point of customer, not because it is lucrative or not because you want to know about it, you automate it. Understand what is customer's pain point, what is the output metric that you're going to improve. Common sense is not common. Don't think that this person should have understood it. No communication is enough, I would say. Like, people might say that this is a very simple thing, but keep on doing communication. Do 5x communication, 6x communication, it helps. That's what I'll say. Don't bypass a problem and solve it during architecture. So when you're doing architecture, there'll be some problems wherein there'll be a conflict. And many times you will have urge to bypass it. But trust me, that will come back when the execution happens. You have to fight it out, take till top management level, get it solved. If you're not getting it solved, somewhere it will come and hit. You need to have answers of all the questions when you are doing an architecture. do less, but do the best in what is done. Don't try to do all the things. I was just talking to Arup from G-Tropy. He gave so many good insights. So instead of GPS only tracking a truck, he was saying that why not track the transit time variability? So he gives me an alert when my transit time, he expects that the truck might be late. That is what I need, right? Why do I want to go and see 1,200 trucks and where they are? That's the point that you need to hit upon. And that's when you will go far. Think changes over long term, don't think over short term. What might change, keep everything variable. All those things you need to keep variable. You just think after 3 years, will this remain same? No, keep it soft coded. Otherwise, you'll need to bring back the implementation partner and get that code changed again. So try to keep those variables. Cost has to be last parameter in selecting the implementation partner. Apart from tools, it's more the manpower, more the expertise whom you are talking with. And if you go for low cost, tool will remain same. The expertise of the manpower will go down. And if you go with lower cost, the bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. So that's what I would say. And I am ready to take any questions that you have. Thank you. Yes.
It is always said that systems or tech transformation handles all the complex situations and the complex inputs. But it is always also said that keep the systems, keep the tech simple so that it provides you a desired requirement instead of loading all the complex inputs. It's garbage in and garbage out. So it's a fine balance. So being in the field of doing the tech transformation, what do you suggest? What that can be a balance that what you call is a complex input for a system, for a tech or for AI? And when we say keep it simple, that means what? Exactly, what do you say when we say keep it simple?
See, when you say keep it simple, it's more about human brain, not the machine. And human brain can have X number of variables. So the number of variables, when they increase, it becomes complex. That's what I think most of the people will connect. So you have to keep less number of variables in action. So when I need to look at a solution, I don't need to look at 200 things which might change. I need to look at 5 things which might change, and then I will do work on that. So what to do with remaining 195? Discuss, close a rule. So the complexity is solved by rule. Have a defined rule. This will happen, this will not happen. Sign off that rule. Implement that. Don't take it to the person. Don't let it go to the person, and that's where complexities will be solved. That is number 1. Number 2, things are customized. So when you say simple, people want it simple, but there's nothing simple. When you go to the operations, each and every industry is different, each and every product is different, each and everything is different. So you need to minutely understand all the issues, form rules for that, and have less number of decision-making points for the person. So when he or she says about complexity, it's about the number of variables they need to think about. That's all. So if I ask you that why this issue happened, if you are telling me 10 reasons, and all the reasons are within that, it's not complex. If every day your reason changes for 1 year, then it is a complex problem. That's how I read it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sudarshan. I work with Tata Consultancy in retail analytics. So you made one point about don't bypass the problem, but solve it for the architecture. I didn't get that. Can you tell us more about that with a few examples maybe?
So I'll just give you an example. For example, during architecture, I found that if I do a center of gravity mechanism, okay, one area which was coming under my sale area will now go to Arpit's sale area. I tried negotiating, but that thing did not close during the architecture. We said, "ठीक है, बाद में देखेंगे." And when it got implemented, there was so much of fight that we both were not letting you implement that decision. So if there is a bottleneck, there is an issue, solve it right there. Don't try to avoid it. That's the point which I want to make.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this thing is the same thing as, महंगा रोए एक बार, सस्ता रोए बार बार, isn't it? This thing that we put over here.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Okay. No, I took it from my boss. He used to put it as the last slide, and I learned it from him. So that's the way it is. And I remember it every day in my life, I would say. Because when you get a partner whom it is very difficult with because it was low cost, then it makes you suffer a long amount of time. So that's the way it is. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope your question has been answered very well. Requesting you to please be on stage, Mr. Verma, for the felicitation. And I would like to call upon stage Mr. Jay Shah, Head of Solution Designs at VLogis, to please felicitate Mr. Kapil Verma. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause.